Fraser pulling a little switch up on us here.
Yeah, that is a control warrior. We don't know if it's a switch up. They may have just had this prepared ahead of time.
Yeah,
you know, that was a very quick queue up from both of these guys. I think this was prepared.
So I still have the Demon Handlock favored in this matchup, but it's a heck of a lot closer, I think.
Yeah, this matchup oftentimes will hinge around the way that the warrior deck is built. The Demon Handlock builds are pretty linear at this point. They just have found builds that are extremely powerful, that really get the job done. And for the warrior builds, it's a lot about where your resource allocation is. You know, there are 2 copies of Brawl. Is there 1 copy of Brawl? Do you have a Baron Geddon? Do you not have a Baron Geddon? You know, all these little tiny things that make the matchup tick. One single tech card can be the difference in you being able to actually kill all your opponent's minions, but not being able to. And stuff like Big Game Hunter is a catalyst to these kinds of board positions. You know, when you're looking at Shield Slam, you're looking at Execute and Big Game Hunter right now. They have almost every major threat checked at the moment.
Yeah. And UCLA, instead of throwing out the Void Caller with the coin, they opt to save it so they can play a Mountain Giant next turn.
Not only that, but they also don't have a Demon in their hand, so holding on to it until they can get some major value out of that.
Yeah.
So typically something that you want to happen. I mean, that is the cost of playing Void Callers. At times, you just don't have a Demon in your hand.
That armor up sound is so satisfying.
Shield Plunk! It's the Magni. He's crafting his armor. He's not just piling it on from his extra stashes of armor he has in the bank. He's going to the Iron Forge and he's creating it.
Yeah. That's what Garrosh sounds like.
That's the official sound. You should be a voice actor, TJ.
Magnes is... Yeah, that's a whip. I'm not a very good voice actor.
And that's how the greatest armor and hammer in the world was created.
I had the sound the first time around, but it escaped me. My first sound was so epic, that one just came out as a whip. What the heck happened? It was like 10 seconds in between those two.
That's Hearthstone.
That's Hearthstone. Magnes, player all about
nuance, precision. Simon Fraser actually having to decide this turn if they want to deal this point of damage or not. And by deliberately not attacking here, they have made the statement that they want to take this to the long game and kill everything UCLA plays this game. That's where their mindset right now.
Yeah.
So buckle in. This one is bound to be long. They want to destroy every single threat across the board.
Yeah.
I think right now it's looking like they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. I like Simon Fraser's position here. I played a heck of a lot of Control Warrior in my days. Over 6,000 games of Control Warrior I played. And
is that an actual? Have you really played that much Control Warrior?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
I used to be an only Control Warrior player. For the first like 5 months that I played Constructed in Hearthstone, I played only Control Warrior. So I eventually branched out, you know, after I realized maybe only playing one deck, probably not the best, especially since Control Warrior like started to like fade out of the meta. I'm like, oh geez.
See, I was kind of in the similar position. You know, super early on, I only played Druid. And then sort of when that Alex Straza charge Gorehowl build was, you know, that started becoming a thing. I was like, well, this deck is really good. Yeah. And I only played Control Warrior for a very long time after that. And then shortly after that was changed, I went back to only Druid. So I feel you on that one. I mean, I have so many Druid games played. At a certain point, it's almost like an automation. You're like, yeah, I just know what's going to happen.
Yeah. So I feel like Simon Fraser's in a good spot, but a lot of it hinges on, you know, their next like 2 draws. They have all the removal that they need. The big thing here is if you can get Grom early enough to push through before your opponent's expecting, or if your opponent can overextend and you can get a really good brawl with a good outcome. Yeah. Simon Fraser's doing a good job of spacing out their removal. This Twilight Drake did not need a removal. He's basically just chipping it down, you know, using his weapons, using the armor that he already has built up. And since he already knew that he was going to be attacking this Twilight Drake a few times over, they went ahead and they shield slammed first and saved the BTH for later because that armor is not guaranteed.
And this to me kind of feels like maybe one of those brawl turns you were talking about, but there are some alternative plays here as well.
Yeah, I just like the slam down the Geddon.
You really like the Geddon here?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that's a little ambitious.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely is an alternative play here, but you have to. Well, they're going for the Geddon. Okay, so this is what I was about to mention: is if they're going to go for the Geddon, they have to attack one of these Ancient Launchers first. Make sure they pick up the value from it.
Yeah, and the only real threat on that board was the Twilight Drake, and you're sacrificing a little bit of armor gain, but that's why he used the Shield Slam. That's why they used the Shield Slam, because they knew that the armor wasn't guaranteed. This is one of the downsides of it, is if your opponent is sitting on BGH, which UCLA has tapped quite a bit, you get heavily punished. But then that also paves the way for bigger threats like Dr. Boom or like Alex Straza.
Yeah, like Dr. Boom right from the top of the deck.
Whoa! Look at that. It's like he planned it.
It's like where that card always is when you need it.
Oh man, he BGH'd my Baron Geddon, and I wish I had Dr. Boom.
It's a good thing he BGH'd my Baron Geddon, because I'm about to draw Dr. Boom.
Yeah, it's still not
no, Mike Magny, that's definitely a strong play.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. It is checked by the damages on the board, but you still get the Boom Bots out of it. You're still forcing your opponent's hand to attack in this Dr. Boom or have an answer for it. You know, either way, the outcome looks pretty darn good for you.
Yeah. The one thing that Simon Fraser has to overcome here is the card advantage. The one weakness to running this type of Control Warrior deck, and we're starting to see it, you know, come into fruition here, is that he's running Bash in the list. They're running Bash in the list. So a lot of times Bash is put in the deck and Acolytes are cut out. Yeah. Sometimes along with Bash, you put cards like Slam in the deck, which cut Cool Taskmaster out. So you get rid of a lot of the draw engine and the cycle by running this type of deck. And a lot of times in the beginning of a match, when you know the Warlock is just tapping, you can use those cards to gain cycle or even ruin turns of your opponent by throwing out an Acolyte of Pain and forcing your opponent to deal with it or give you lots of cycles. So card advantage is a huge deal, and we'll have to see if Simon Fraser can overcome that, because the game is starting to look a little bit rougher from our perspective, because UCLA is tapping every turn, they're increasing their card advantage every turn, and Simon Fraser just sort of, emptying their hand as they go.
Yeah, and that was sort of why I was taking a look at the Brawl turn, is that you freed up. I mean, you potentially had some incredible outcomes in the Brawl, and now you're in this position instead. The Brawl's still in your hand. You don't have a Baron Geddon. And there's a little bit of pressure on you, even. This, and that's really the difference between the Baron Geddon and the Brawl play. Now, the other side of it, though, is that if your opponent doesn't have Big Game Hunter for the Baron Geddon can just take complete control of the game. And so there's always that value in it. And that's something that I think they were heavily considering, was when UCLA doesn't have an answer to this, are we running away with the game?
Mm-hmm. So there's a debate here going on between the Jor dude and whoever's on the other end of the Jor dude.
I certainly don't mind Alex Straza in this position, but I also kind of do mind it.
Yeah, I think there's not really too much of a reason. He might try and beat out a...
That's not the mini they wanted to see. I think they wanted to see a Draxus in the spot.
I think they want to see a Mal'Ganis so they could just BGH it and get it out of the way.
Well, that's true too, but the Draxus is really what's going to make the difference in the super late game.
Yeah.
It's just the ability to make big threat after big threat. And so in this spot, when they see the second Void Caller, I'm curious, do they want to commit more to it? Because committing the bash to the first one, you're not really you're not really losing anything. But if you commit the Shield Slam to it, suddenly you're losing an extremely important card.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they didn't see it on the first try, I think that they've kind of gone, well, I think that's the best we can do. And UCLA, they're kind of talking about this like, well, if we slam Jaraxxus, if he doesn't have Harrison Jones, this game is done. And I would tend to agree.
But if we do slam Jaraxxus and he does have Harrison Jones, then our Molten Giants are done.
It's definitely true. I think I like it. I think I go for the Jarax.
Yeah. I'm usually not one of the people that are in the boat for...
Oh, no! This could have been utter disaster at this point. This is almost a perfect situation for Simon Fraser. Now they have an opportunity to take care of this in a number of different ways, and I don't see a bad outcome for them in this spot.
Yeah. Well, Alex Straza, it's basically like they just play Jaraxxus, but they don't get the 6/6s.
It's a very interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, my opponent, they went to 15. They don't get the hero power or the Jaraxxus hands from it. And they also had 2 of their own beasts die. Combine those into 1 minion on the Finkel Einhorns, and then also cast 2 bananas on it.
Bingo. You get what I'm putting down.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, TJ.
I messed it up. Darn.
Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here, all right?
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah. Shield slam. You know, it's not often you can shield slam a 15 health minion and take care of it, but this is one of those times.
Yes, it is. But that's pretty much Simon Fraser's hand gone.
Yeah, but what does UCLA have left? I mean, now their deck is filled with anti-heal bots, Defenders Vargas, a lot of utility, Suffering Protectors,
just Molten Giants.
Hellfires. Yeah, but look at the hand. Brawl and Big Game Hunter.
Yeah, and if UCLA keeps spacing out these threats, they'll get to a point where eventually they're going to have a tough time finding things to build walls with.
Yeah, which I don't think is necessarily the thing they're thinking about. I mean, clearly it's a battle of can they deal damage versus is Simon Fraser going to be able to kill everything and fatigue them out?
Yeah, without Jiraxis, they don't have that,
Yes, and that was
game plan.
And that's exactly the danger of holding on to that Jiraxis. If that Void Caller dies, you find yourself in that spot. And so that's one of the reasons why I favor playing it so early when you're using these builds, is it allows you to ensure that you have a threat, inevitability card on board. Sure, you do get punished when your opponent has Harrison Jones, but I think you're pretty darn likely to get punished if just a 315 hits the board and it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
So Simon Fraser, even considering, is a brawl gamble worth it here? Maybe we can go for Alex Straza and hang on to these important removal spells.
Yeah, I mean,
the ball's in their court. All of the decisions are theirs.
It seems like BGH lines up nice. They can Despite down the Ancient Watcher. They can just leave the Ancient Watcher there. That thing's not really threatening them too much.
He's just hanging out.
The thing is, if they BGH and play Despite, all of a sudden Grom next turn with their board becomes lethal. So, but really holding on to that Big Game Hunter, trying to say, UCLA, go ahead.
I think they're trying to trade. I think they're trying to bait them into a brawl situation here.
It's a possibility
which
as
is
well.
They want Big Game Hunter to hit the Alex Straza, maybe an anti-heal bot comes down with it, and then they brawl and try to eliminate it and hang on to all their important removals. So I actually really like this play and what it means for their hand. UCLA is just going to trade into the Alex Straza, though.
And this might be the last BGH threat besides Mal'Ganis in the deck. Emperor Thorstein doesn't really do too much in this situation. Simon Fraser has to think, is this even worth a brawl? Like, what if the Mountain Giant, or what if the Molten Giant comes out? We really just brawled for not too much gain.
Yeah, I still don't mind the Big Game Hunter in this situation. This is the second Molten Giant at this point. But I still don't mind, chancing it on the brawl. Say the antique heal bot lives in this situation, you just dealt with a lot of power and health on the board, and there's a 2/3 chance that happens right now. 8 cards in the deck versus 14 cards. So you can see Simon Fraser way ahead, and if this comes down to a fatigue race,
it's gonna be bad for UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some nightmare scenarios.
All right, BGH, here it comes.
The other question still here, too, is, you could play Despite and wipe out the Ancient Watcher, but Emperor Thorson kind of is doing a very similar purpose. Just getting extra threats on the board and trying to challenge something in one way or another. I still think I would favor the Despite.
Yeah, I think spreading out your threats could be a good idea, because now you're giving UCLA value out of cards that they wouldn't have otherwise gotten value out of, like Hellfire.
Yeah.
And, I mean, their own Emperor Thorsan is pretty big as well, so...
Well, Hellfire is still a 3-for-2 advantage here on favor of Simon Fraser, but now they're facing down a 5-5 that they don't have a check to at the moment. So next couple draws, I think, super important for Simon Fraser. Bash. And here's the thing, though. It's not like they're under the threat of lethal anytime soon. They can still take 1 or 2 more turns of hits before I think they have to start worrying about their life total.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to consider.
Let's try and keep track of the threats that UCLA still has in the rest of their deck. Mal'Ganis.
Yep.
Second Mountain Giant, I believe. That Doom Guard that's in their hand. There's a Defender Vargas somewhere in the deck as well. So that accounts for 3 of the cards. I think maybe Iron Beak Owl is also in there.
Do they have 2 Iron Beak Owls left? Oh my gosh, I think they do.
Do they?
Are they bashing this turn? No, not going to bash this turn. So being super careful with their removal. I think what they want to happen, actually, is for this Emperor Thorson to chill on the board by himself. Dr. Boom, that was the other threat we were forgetting.
Yeah.
I think they want this Emperor Thorson to kind of chill on the board by himself and hope that they can use that to buy time to find more answers to stuff and then take care of everything in one big wave. Like, I think that's the intention
Yeah, like if
of that
Dr.
attack.
Boom has played this turn, they can just attack into the Dr. Boom, bash it.
Yeah,
The whole board removed.
Yeah. And that's exactly what UCLA is thinking about. So I think they're going to try to get this Deathbite swing out of them by playing sort of unimportant minions first.
Yeah. But Dr. Boom, it's very enticing.
It certainly is, but I think it's just too high value of a minion at the moment to play.
Wow, look at this value play.
Now, even going to protect this Emperor Thorson. So now, this is where Simon Fraser, their game plan kind of got struck right back at. You know, where do they take it for this one? Well,
I mean, they can just use a cool Taskmaster to clear it off here.
yeah, still a couple options though. You know, what does Brawl mean for us? That's the thing about this deck, and what part of what makes it so difficult to play is that every single turn you have to consider what Brawl means for the board position. You know, you have to take a look at each individual outcome and think about where it goes afterwards, and it's tough to think about that turn after turn after turn. At a certain point, it almost becomes exhausting.
Yeah.
They know that Dr. Boom's there, though, so I actually like that they're continuing to hold this so that they have the maximum chance to deal with Dr. Boom when it gets to the board.
Oh, there's the second Mountain Giant that we talked about.
Yeah, but is this even a spot where UCLA thinks that maybe they should stop life tapping?
Stop life tapping, yeah. And I think it is because they have probably all the...
Oh,
wow.
Oh my gosh, that is Brawl and Sylvanas available because of that Emperor Thorson.
I would act... I mean, there's no
they're
point.
brawling this turn. Wow, they're not brawling. They know that the Iron Beak Owls are still there.
Look at that!
Well, that's not really a surprise. There's like 3 cards left in the deck, and there's 2 Iron Beak Owls.
Yeah, I would have actually, just armored up and held, to be honest. They could have held on to that Sylvanas Brawl, but then again, at the same time, there's really no point for UCLA to develop any other threats. They can just hold on to that Mountain Giant, continue pushing in, space out the threats, just play one at a time.
Wow, they even trade into Sylvanas still. So that will open up Bash, and that's a fantastic draw for Simon Fraser. Anything that's going to be a threat right now is exactly what they need.
And UCLA has like no cards left.
Yeah, they just need anything to occupy resources. There's Mal'Ganis.
I mean, UCLA is drawing bombs, but is it going to be enough is the question.
So there's the Hellfire to take care of it. Mal'Ganis is going to have to wait a turn. But the Dr. Boom is opening the window to this Mal'Ganis. He's saying, hey, you might have to brawl right now.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think of what Simon Fraser, what threats they have left.
Well, I think you go for it. I think Acolyte of Pain may have to win this brawl.
Yeah, Simon Fraser might still have a Ysera left in that deck.
Yeah, that's
for all we know.
That's totally true too. Now the problem with it is that they have a lot more cards in their deck than UCLA has, so the chances to draw what they anticipate is significantly lower.
Yeah, and what activators do they have left? They've been through both cool Taskmasters.
Yeah,
so Acolyte of Pain here might just be brawl fodder.
Yeah, well, I think so too. Not only that, but the 2 Boombots on the board too, so they could potentially just both hit the Acolyte of Pain.
They're just gonna hold off.
Wow, such patience from Simon Fraser.
These owls are just boop right on time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 4 cards left in the deck. You're gonna draw
Owl does make the brawl, a little bit tougher. At this point, if you're UCLA, do you Owl and then sacrifice in your Boombots to try, increase the chance that your Dr. Boom stays alive? Because you have to guess that last card, it's got to be a brawl. He's been holding on to it the whole game.
Yeah. It's like he's like, oh, gotcha, it was Cleave.
It was Cleave.
Haven't had a spot to use it yet.
Well, it could be like revenge, because something really weird like that.
Definitely could be, but even if it's revenge, you're in a similar situation where, if you hedge your bets versus brawl, you're also, consequently hedging your bets versus avenge. I think they're trying to shut off an execute, it looks like.
Yeah, there is an execute left.
Yeah.
That is true. No shield slams left. BGH been used. 1 execute, I think, is the only removal left remaining. And they're going to go for it, but if this hits face, okay.
Well, now they finally are starting to make a little bit of ground here, but it's going to have to be done quick. And that's going to help try to shut off some of this damage once again. Both the Owls have been used at this point. But again, they have to consider, what does it mean to play it? What does it mean to play it brawl? What does it mean to just brawl? Every single turn, they have to think about their options. And I feel like so far they've been navigating it extremely well. There's that whip once again.
Out of cards, what's the last card? A Mortal Coil.
Yeah, that's about one of the worst ones it could possibly be. And
Yeah.
the Doomguard's still stranded in hand at the moment, too. UCLA cannot afford to risk discarding this Mal'Ganis. Can they afford to risk playing the Mal'Ganis also, though?
Into a brawl, it's really risky.
Here's the problem. They're at 21, and they don't have any cards left, so they got to get something done.
Yeah.
Well, here we go. This is probably the most important turn of the game. And I can tell you, Armorsmith has won a lot of brawls
Yes,
in the past.
it has. Is Simon Fraser gonna go for it?
This might be do or die time.
I mean, okay, so let's say they just hold off on the brawl.
Sorry, that's 16 points of damage they're taking if they hold off. Here we go, boys.
Dr. Boom. Okay.
Yeah. I saw the Mal'Ganis kicked out, and I was like, not like this.
Not like
Not
this.
like this. So now it's a race of can UCLA pour out the damage, and can Simon Fraser draw the right cards to stave off this pressure. Doomguard, this is the last
This is
hurrah.
all of their cards. Everything's on the table.
Here we go, but 5 of it charges in immediately when played.
Acolyte of Pain.
Well, here's the deal. They're at 25 life right now. They're facing down 14 points of damage this turn. They're going up 27
They have
next
2
turn.
turns.
Well, this is really it. I mean, UCLA just pushes this damage in the face and says, hey, here, deal with it.
Yeah.
You got to have it now or never. That's looking like a never right now.
Yeah. They need to find an execute from this next draw.
Here's the deal. Say they play the Despite, attack the Dr. Boom, run the Acolyte into the 2-3. They draw like a weapon, they can replace the Despite, maybe draw another card.
Yeah, but if they equip the Despite, attack the Dr. Boom, they're at 4 health.
Yeah,
They
but-
can go back up to 6, so they can leave.
All they have to do in this situation, if they Despite the Dr. Boom, they only have to draw Execute, and that's it.
Yeah. What's it going to be?
Just a card, true
They
card.
can double armor up.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
can
this is
gain
6 extra armor.
6 armor this turn, which is going to give them another turn. Because it'll put them at 17 health with 14 damage on the board. Oh, they're like, oh no!
This all depends on what's left in Simon Fraser's deck, though. You know, they still have to draw more than this. UCLA doesn't have an option.
Well,
the damage
they can't-
goes upstairs.
They can't kill this Just Card True Heart, so it's going to trade into the Dr. Boom. If they draw an Execute,
Maybe they trade the Doomguard in? No way. You push it to face. Let's go. They have a card straight in their hand
Doomguard
right now.
would still live,
Yeah.
is the thing.
Put him
so-
at 3, man. 3 life. I mean, they go to 7. They have to kill both your things with 2 cards.
Well, the thing is, if the Dr. Boom and the Doomguard die, they lose because they can't do enough damage with a Sun Fury Protector.
This is the stuff dreams
The
are made
next
of.
draw from Simon Fraser is going to decide the game.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a second weapon. Well, that's not going to be enough unless they trade. So if UCLA trades, okay.
This is why I don't like the trading. I think you just go for it.
Yeah, I just think face is the place, you know? That's my words of wisdom.
We're out of damage. We got to get it from somewhere. Let's go. That's what I'm thinking right now.
And to the face it is. What's it going to be? Execute! I think that's it.
barely enough. Yeah. They could. Okay, so they execute the 7-3. They run the Justicar over the 2-3. They armor up to 7. They kill they put 4 damage from the Despite into face.
And then they die from the fatigue and the Despite swings.
Wait a minute. Did they take 3 from fatigue last turn?
Yeah,
So they take 4 from fatigue and just execute attack for 10, and then it's 4. So they're 1 damage off lethal if that's the case.
Well, they die. They have to kill the Sun Fury Protector.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know if the fatigue damage would lethal or not.
okay,
So
okay,
that was what
okay.
I was thinking. Wait a minute. They just killed themselves. Simon Fraser just lost the game with that play. And now they realize it. Awkward. The game was sealed. That was it. Oh my gosh, a blunder is going to cost Simon Fraser a game, a match point series.
That's brutal. That is brutal.
Wow.
That was a near guaranteed win.
No, that
if they
is.
sequence that correctly.
Yeah.